before any number, before any calculation. Let me ask you something simple. Imagine a cat, not a cute commercial cat, a real cat, the kind that wakes up before everyone else, walks through the house in silence, watches everything, calculates every step. Now imagine that cat trapped in a small space. He walks, spends energy, gets stressed, but at the end of the day, he's exactly in the same place. For a long time, that cat believes movement is progress, until the day he realizes there's no point running if there's no way out. That's how a lot of people live their financial lives. Maybe that's how you live. You wake up early. You show up on time. You deliver results. You solve problems you didn't create. And at the end of the month, when you look at your balance, you feel that strange sensation, as if all the effort had evaporated. And you ask yourself in silence, how is it possible to work so much and stay in the same place? There's an invisible point in this story, a hidden number, a psychological milestone that separates the people who spend their whole lives surviving from the people who actually start building. The problem is, almost no one talks about that milestone, because it doesn't show up on your paycheck. It's not written on your bank statement, but it controls absolutely everything. Most people believe what matters is earning more, a bigger salary, a promotion, a yearly raise. But that's just the surface. What truly matters is the exact moment when financial fear stops commanding your decisions. And most people never get there. I'm an investor cat, obsessed with invisible patterns, with human behavior, with those tiny decisions repeated every day that, over years, build or destroy financial destinies. I'm not better than anyone. I just observe more. And if you stay with me until the end, I promise clarity. Not a magic formula, but a change of lens. Now, let me ask you something quick, almost like a stretch before run. If this makes sense to you at any point, subscribe and hit like. Not for the algorithm, but because this kind of content changes the way you see money. And that's rare. There's a hidden truth no one told you when you started working. A truth that completely transforms your relationship with money. Working hard isn't the problem. The problem is working in the wrong mode for too long. The human brain operates in two main modes, survival and building. In survival mode, everything is urgent. The present screams. The future whispers. It's the brain of a hungry cat. When food appears, he eats everything, not because he's greedy, but because he doesn't know when the next meal will come. Early in financial life, that's normal. You need to pay bills. You need stability. You need to breathe. The problem starts when that mode never gets turned off. Your paycheck arrives. Relief comes. Your heart rate slows. Bills get paid. And your brain records. Danger avoided. That relief is powerful, addictive. It teaches your brain that spending brings peace. And slowly, without realizing it, you start using money not as a tool for building, but as emotional anesthesia. That's where the game turns against you. There's a simple number, not magical, but decisive, that changes everything. It's the point where you can save enough for fear to shrink. It's not wealth. It's margin. When you have no margin, any unexpected event is a threat. When you do, it becomes just an inconvenience. Research shows something curious. People with a minimal emergency reserve have much lower stress levels, even earning the same salary as others without reserves. It's not the absolute amount that changes your life. It's the feeling of control. When fear shrinks, the brain leaves survival mode and enter strategy mode. It's like the cat who realizes food appears every day at the same time. He stops attacking the bowl. He starts observing the environment. And that's the point where simple math begins to work. Imagine two people earning exactly the same amount. One spends it all. The other sets aside a small part every month, without exception. At first, it seems irrelevant, even ridiculous. Like hiding a handful of kibble and thinking it'll change anything. But time passes, and what was small starts to grow. Not linearly, compounded. There's a moment when growth accelerates, like a snowball. Before that, almost nothing happens. After that, everything changes. That's the invisible milestone. Before it, you work to pay bills. After it, you start working to buy time. And that shift isn't only financial, it's identity. Before, you see yourself as someone always chasing. After, as someone choosing paths. It shows up in your career. You stop accepting anything. You start negotiating. Refusing. It shows up in big purchases. You start asking, does this bring me closer to freedom or farther from it? It shows up in daily life. You realize how much effort you spend trying to maintain an image that takes you nowhere. A cat doesn't buy an expensive pillow to impress visitors. He wants territory. He wants control. The true benefit of all this isn't accumulated money. It's autonomy, mental clarity, sleeping without that constant feeling of an invisible threat. But a lot of people destroy that progress without realizing it. They get close to the milestone and go back. They go back when they raise their lifestyle too early, when they confuse comfort with evolution, when they try to prove something to others. It's the cat who finds a stockpile of food and decides to eat it all at once. Soon, hunger returns, and the cycle starts again. The real turning point happens when you change the way you think, from price to opportunity cost. It's not how much does this cost? It's what do I stop building by choosing this? It's not the small expenses that decide the game. It's the big decisions made without awareness. Where you work, how you live, how much time you sell, and for how much. Now, come back with me to the beginning. You work, you try, you run, and you feel like you're not going anywhere. Maybe the problem was never a lack of effort. Maybe no one ever showed you where the door is. The invisible milestone was always there, silent, waiting for you to reduce fear enough to see it. And when you cross that point, something changes forever. You stop chasing the clock hand. You start using time as an ally. Because in the end, it's not about getting rich. It's about stopping living as if you were always one step away from hunger. And when you understand that, the game changes. And if at any moment in this video you saw yourself here, if any sentence kept echoing in your head, don't ignore it. When a cat notices a new pattern, he doesn't go back to acting the same way. He learns. He adapts. He changes territory. Subscribe to the channel and hit like, not for me, but to train your brain to seek this kind of clarity, this kind of conversation almost no one has, this kind of awareness that changes small decisions, and small decisions change entire destinies. Here we don't talk about money as status. We talk about money as freedom, control, and peace of mind. And the more you consume this kind of content, the harder it becomes to fall into the same old traps. Now, take a deep breath, observe, and remember, a cat who sees the way out never walks in circles again.